Buckle up your helmets and shimmy into those shoulder pads, because we're about to downhill off-road unicycle into a precariously fun bagel bite, and the only thing more important than safety is style. This episode, we're chatting about all the topics you didn't think you needed to know about and still probably don't. From non-denominational sabbaths and one-wheeling to teacup rules and lotion on the feet, we'll dazzle you with the sheer amount of subjects we can cover in a short amount of time.
They said that we'd grow out of it. Well, the joke's on them, that's just our brains. We're eccentric, loud, and stubborn, and most of our clothing is covered in stains. It's not a deficit of attention, there's just too much to think about. So if executive dysfunction becomes a little too much, if you forgot why you came in this room, or you're hypersensitive to touch, then put on your seamless socks and come join our little flock. Bitches stimming together, we're weirds of a feather, weirds of a feather.
Room sounds.
All right.
Okay.
Room sounds. Get me some room sounds.
Hearing the sounds in the room all around us.
Oh.
Room sounds.
Room sounds.
Listen closely, do you hear anything? No, it's the sounds of the room.
That pause was perfect. Perfection.
Yeah.
Perfection.
Yeah, I've been working on it.
I'm going to borrow your clip because I know I'm going to pull my hair out.
Go for it.
Pulling out my hairs, pulling out my teeth.
What? Don't do that.
All right.
All right, are we ready to start this thing?
I'm ready.
This jam-a-lam?
I'm get my nose in.
Yeah, do your little nose itch. I think we need to take a video of you doing that because we talk about it.
My nose stem?
You have a very specific way of itching your nose where you put your
My
palm on your nose and rub it in a
itchy.
circle.
Yeah, well, it feels nice. It makes a cool sound. Ready?
Oh,
wait, hold on. Let me get my glasses off.
I don't know if that's going to come through on the audio.
The cartilage is rubbing up against the bone.
We'll have to take a little video of you doing
right.
it. It's very Kristen specific.
Been doing that since I was a youngster.
I know. All right. Welcome to Weirds of a Feather, an AuDHD-Adjacent podcast. I'm your host, Grace Bourret.
I'm your host, Kristen Stanhope.
And we've got a juicy little bagel bite for you.
Little bagel bite.
It's a bagel bite.
Little bit. Might be a lot of it.
Yeah. When Grace is taking the lead, it's often a big bite.
So spit that food out that you have right now.
Yeah.
Spit it out.
Barf up a little bit if you need to.
Take a Tums.
Have some Ipecac. Go do a little barf.
No.
Come back.
No.
Yeah, make some room.
First of all, Ipecac.
Yeah.
Do people use that anymore? Is that at the pharmacy?
I don't know. But that's what I know of to make yourself barf. Unless there's something better on the market.
You could do the gallon challenge.
Oh, I hate milk so much.
Yeah.
The thought of that is vile. No, don't do that. Don't do the gallon challenge. Yeah. Please,
it's
just
not good for you.
Quick little barf, make a little room, come back.
Don't
get your
even
mouth
barf.
full.
Just
Fine, don't barf.
Don't barf. Just dig deep down, make some space mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spiritually. And
because we got a bagel bite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that is to say, we got a bagel bite.
Yeah.
All right. I got a quick little warm-up question for you that is not meant to be a big discussion.
Okay.
I preface it every time.
Okay.
And it always is.
It always is.
But let's try to keep it short.
Okay. I will do my best.
How do you feel about lotion on your feet? Like, in movies and stuff when people lotion up the bottoms of their feet.
Oh, my God.
Is there anything more vile?
It's absolutely vile.
I can't imagine.
Hate it. I do it. The only time I do it is at night when I'm very tired because I know I'm going to fall right asleep. And by the time I wake up, it won't be on my feet anymore. But I can't imagine getting out of the shower and just let me lotion my feet and then put socks on.
You'd be slipping and sliding all day, wouldn't you? Your feet would feel all moist.
Oh, moist, in between your toes.
Squishing. Even doing it before bed, it grosses me out. Just the thought of I don't know.
Sometimes you get dry heels and you gotta put on that lotion.
Even then, I'm like, I'll just deal with the dry heels. I don't know if I've ever, I guess I probably have, but I don't, maybe I could count on
Sometimes
my
in
hand
the summer.
how often I've put lotion on my feet.
Yeah. Rarely.
I think I saw someone do it in a movie, had a visceral reaction to it because it grossed me out. And I was like,
it is gross.
I should ask Kristen about this because I feel like she'll have a strong opinion.
I usually just don't. I deal with the dry skin and I don't lotion. I try to lotion, especially in the summer. You gotta lotion.
Especially in the winter, you gotta lotion. That's when I'm driest.
You know what I bought? So the wound care team at my hospital has this really nice lotion that's like hypoallergenic. It's got a basically non-fragrance, and it's like a lotion, but it dries really well.
Ooh, that's what I need.
And they use it for their patients. So I found it on Amazon. I bought a bottle of it. And I have it on my nightstand, so I look like a teenage boy.
Just jacking off.
Yeah. But I put some on my hands at night because I wash my hands about 20 million times a day.
Yep.
With very strong soaps.
You know what someone taught me, because I like to have lotion on the tops of my hands, but I hate it on my palms, is you put the lotion on the top of your hand and you rub, or the back of your hand, you rub the backs of your hands together to put lotion on. Because I hate having lotion on my palms. Feels clammy and sticky and wrong.
You got to try this lotion. I'm going to send you a link.
Yeah.
It's a nice lotion. And it actually, so it's like one of those non-fragrant, it's like still there's a smell, but it's not like Japanese cherry blossom or anything, you know?
Haley's signature scent always.
But it's, I don't know. It smells.
Is it a Jart? Dr. Jart?
It is not a Dr. Jart. It's like some sort of weird medical brand.
Oh, yeah, send it to me. I want
you can find it on Amazon.
Lotion.
It comes in a pumpage.
Ooh.
So that's a plus for me. I love a thing in a pump.
I like a pump.
Except when it gets low and then you have to figure out how to get the stuff out of a pump without.
Yeah, and then you got to open it up and you got to.
Yeah, it's the worst part about a pump. I love a pump until I don't.
All right, you heard it here first. And on that note, should we move into little plishes?
Yeah,
all right.
I think so.
Love a pump until I don't. Strong stance on pumps.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our little plishes song.
Okay. Sorry. It came out really weird, huh?
Yeah, it's a good.
It's a good quote.
Phrase.
We should put it on a sticker or something.
Yeah.
I love a pump until I don't.
Topical and applicable to many situations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Little plishes. All right, Grace.
Oh, okay.
Or you want me to go first?
Why don't you go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
My little plish is that last night I had a good old cry.
Nice.
And I feel better this morning.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good to have a cry.
It's good to have a cry. It was a much needed cry. It wasn't it was like a little cry. It wasn't like, I wasn't wailing, but like a Victorian wife who's just found out that her husband, succumbed to the sea or something, but it was a little cry and it was needed and I feel better.
Do you ever put something sad on or listen to a sad song if you're like, I know I need to cry, I know it's in there, but I'm disassociating and I can't really connect with that emotion. I need to get it out?
No. What I do is I bury that deep down inside because my goal is to not cry. And then it comes out at a really inopportune time.
Well, that doesn't sound like a good strategy.
No.
It sounds like my way would be better.
Yeah, it most certainly would.
A good cry is good for you. It's good for your body. It's good for your brain. It re-regulates you a bit.
Yeah, I do feel better. It was kind of like a cry out of pure exhaustion and it needed to happen. So I just wish it wasn't at I don't know. Maybe I should schedule times for crying.
You should. You know what you could do?
Times.
Listen to Bo Burnham's All Eyes on Me from the movie / album Inside. That one always gets me.
That one's sad.
Yeah, that one gets me. I have a few different songs that I know I will cry if I listen to. So sometimes you just gotta
cry it out.
Save it all up. Yeah. Put it on while you're in the shower. Go have a nice hot shower. Have a good cry.
I usually cry to animal videos for some reason. Oh yeah,
that'll get me too.
Like that freaking fucking shoebill puppet that got rid of its second child and go back to our shoebill puppet phase, but that video made me really upset that the mom was like, nah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to cry.
Yeah. But that I don't know. I don't like being sad, so I try not to.
Yeah, but it's cathartic.
Yeah. Man. Anyway, that's what I did. What'd you
Nice.
do? What's your little prish?
I built myself a fire in the fireplace.
Oh, all right. Well, here's my question. And I already asked you this, but I'm going to ask again. Are you a log cabin or are you a triangle style?
For my fire building?
Yes.
I think I do more of a lean-to type situation. There's not really a solid structure to it.
Almost like a mix between the two.
Yeah, I kind of just, freestyle it with my fire architecture. But yeah, more of a lean-to. But normally Ian is the one who builds us fires because he's the man, obviously, and we follow traditional gender roles in this family.
Yes, you definitely do.
No, he's the one who does it. Like, he just does it. And so I'm like, all right, sweet. I have someone to build me fires, so I don't have to really think about it. But he wasn't home one night, and I was cold, and it was like a cozy little fall night. And I was like, you know what? I could build my own fire. I just sometimes don't think to do that stuff if it's like Ian's always the one who does it.
Right.
I don't think to do it on my own. But this time I did. And I was like, you know what? I could just build a fire.
Yeah, you're a strong, independent woman. You
what
don't
if
need a man to build you a fire.
Yeah, it's not so much that I think that like I can't and the man has to do it. It's just more so I just don't think to do it because I'm like, well, that Ian does the fires. So that's the rule. Is Ian does the fire.
I guess I'll just be cold.
Yeah, like I just in my mind have these different rules of different jobs that we do, and if he's not there, it just doesn't happen.
I will be cold until his return.
Yeah, and I was like, I really wish Ian was here so we could have a fire. I was like, or I could do a fire.
You could do that.
And I did. And I went and got myself firewood down in the basement.
Oh, scary.
Built myself a little fire and had a cozy little night. And then he got home and there was smoke coming out of the chimney and he was very proud of me.
Oh.
So look at me.
The house is still intact, so you're good.
Yep. Didn't burn it down this time.
This time.
Pretty proud of myself.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we jam on into the schmorg that is this Bagel Bite?
Yeah. I'm excited for this schmorg because it's all about you. The listener.
The listener. I thought you meant about me. I was like, no, it's not.
No, it's not about you, Grace. It's about you listening.
The royal
listening.
you.
The royal you, yes.
Yes.
The collective.
Yes. Nice.
Collective. The listeners.
The listeners. Yeah, I kind of have a few different random tidbits from a few different listeners that I've been compiling and just wanted to kind of go through. So our first section to this little Bagel Bite schmorg is about our cerebellum episode, your cerebellum episode.
It's our collective cerebellum episode that I took the lead on.
That's a good look at you. It's a nice way to put it. So we got a few messages about that one and we had some good input. I know you're going to do another episode in that series down the road. So I'm saving some stuff for that episode because we got a lot of good input from people and it was like too much to fit in a Bagel Bite.
Mm-hmm.
But
our mouths were too full.
Yeah. Way too much stuff to the brim. But I wanted to just go through a couple little messages that we got.
All right.
So Alexa messaged us on Instagram. Thank you, Alexa. She is a pediatric physical therapist.
Which sounds so difficult.
I know. Are you like, I'm just picturing like moving a little baby's arms around. That's probably not it.
I'm picturing...
I think babies when I hear pediatric.
I think of like a 6-year-old who's like a menace.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get him to like do a certain activity and he's like, no.
Yeah, I guess I think of like making a toddler do an obstacle course.
I feel it's so hard because like with adults, you just like do this and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Or they're like, no.
Or they're like, no.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, at the end of the story.
Yeah, working with kids versus adults is very different. And yeah, there's a lot of things you have to do differently. Yeah, you have to
like trick them into thinking that it's a game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as a speech therapist, you can't just reason with them. Be like, well, you're going to want to have a clear, crisp R when you grow up for professional reasons. They're like, I don't give a shit. I'm 7.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I say. You know what I mean?
Like when veterinarian medicine where there's no reasoning with a dog, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You have to trick them into it. Yeah. All right. So Alexa said... I just listened to your cerebellum episode. I'm a pediatric physical therapist, and I see a lot of kids with ADHD. They all have absolutely terrible proprioceptive awareness and no clue where their body is in space. I can say that because I am the same way. That's what she said. So she's not just ragging on her kids. She's like, I recognize in myself.
My clients suck.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They're awful.
Yeah. No. She says, I do a lot of work with motor planning with them, and we usually have to break down tasks into smaller steps, like how to throw or catch a ball. The cerebellum helps fine-tune and adjust movements based on previous experiences, and I noticed that it takes extra reps and visual cues or tactile feedback to learn how to change their movement patterns compared to neurotypicals. I think this also has to do with poorer working memory, which, like, yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We have trouble with sequential steps when you give, like, multi-step directions. That is more difficult for an ADHD or an autistic person.
Even today, if someone's like, I need you to go into the closet to the third shelf on the right, grab this, open this. I'm like, I'm lost.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
I stopped listening after step 2.
Why don't you come with me? We'll go and open it together.
Or make me a list. If you give me a list, and even when I have a list, I've realized that I need to read it and reread it over and over and over and over, like so many times to remember multiple steps in a row.
Absolutely.
It's so funny to think that I was a speech therapist working with kids on this stuff, and the whole time I was struggling myself, and so I didn't really realize. I was like, well, doesn't everyone struggle with this stuff and they can't remember multi-step directions? I like never really got the concept of like what it means to struggle with multi-step directions, because I was like, isn't that just how people receive directions? They have a really hard time remembering them and they get confused.
I think that makes you a better, or at the time made you, because you understood the difficulty of it, you know?
Yes, but I think I also didn't understand the difficulty of it, because I was like, well, that's just how it is, and you just have to like force yourself to do it, or like come up with these really ridiculous strategies that are like time intensive and not conducive to learning or whatever, you know? It's like, I think now if I were to go back as a speech therapist, I would both be able to relate to this stuff and also have an understanding that it's not supposed to be this way, and maybe the strategies that I've come up with for myself, there's better ways to do it that aren't just like me figuring out how to work with my brain, you know?
I know. I mean, I don't know, but I understand what you're saying.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
So Alexa finished her message saying, I have so much more to say about this. Def, one of my hyper focuses, but I don't want to bore you or make this too long. Because
You're not boring.
Because I know my brain starts to shut down when I see too much text, and I don't want to do that to you. Just Kristen, not me.
Honestly, I did see that DM, and I was like, whoa, there's a lot here. But I read it in segments, and so.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to send us a big, long message, that's totally okay. If you break it up into segments, that'll probably be easier for Kristen. So. But don't feel
either
bad.
way, yeah, don't feel bad if you don't break it up into segments.
Yeah.
I'll still read it. It'll just take me a little bit.
Yeah. So thank you, Alexa, for responding to us and letting us know your professional input. That was very helpful. And Alexa sent us some more information that was also really important that we're going to save for that full episode where you're talking about like hypermobility and stuff, because I think we want to have a bigger conversation about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We also got an email from a listener, Kaylin, who also had a comment about the cerebellum episode.
Okay.
They said, hey, I picked up one wheeling this spring and can't get enough. That's where you have one wheel.
Unicycling.
No. One wheeling. It's just the wheel, and it has like the little board coming out of both sides of it, and you like stand on the board.
Like a hoverboard.
It looks, yes, it looks like you are kind of on a hoverboard, but it's just one big tire.
I know. Okay.
And then you're standing on the two planks off either side of the tire.
It's like you're snowboarding, but there's a wheel, and it's tall.
Kind of, but you're standing straight instead of standing sideways like snowboarding. Well, no, I guess you do stand. No, you're right. You do stand sideways.
Yeah.
I'm thinking hoverboard where you stand forward. You do stand.
Yeah.
So
and that has two wheels.
Yeah. It is like land snowboarding, I guess. Where you're standing sideways. Landboarding. Yeah.
Also known as one wheeling.
Also known as
I'm glad we figured this out. Okay.
Yeah, good that we talked it through. It does help when we talk things through. Yeah. Sometimes I have a different thing in my mind.
I'm
like,
know
that's what that is.
That was called what? I don't know what I thought that was called, but now I know.
It's one wheeling. Yeah, I feel like a unicycle would also be very good for your cerebellum if you don't break your brain.
I also feel like that's a quick trip to the emergency room.
If you don't fall and smash your head.
Oh, man, you like medical bills? I got an activity for you.
There is a kid who has an off-road unicycle that he rides in the cemetery woods. I've seen him back there. But is he doing tricks off of gravestones? No. So there's like all these trails back in the cemetery. I know you know this, but I'm telling the people. Yeah. There's all these backwoods trails.
The cemetery near your house
is
huge.
Yes.
And kind of like a park, but also for the dead.
That's where the idea of parks came from, is cemeteries. Where people saw that it was like big expanses of lawn and like a nice place to sit and have a picnic or whatever. People were like, what if we just did this without all the bodies? and thus Parks was born.
Oh.
Parks were born.
I kind of like the bodies.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I kind of like going into the cemetery.
Yeah, it's peaceful.
It reminds us of the circle of life, you know?
Yeah.
It's important to remember that death is all around us. But in the cemetery, we also have these really nice trails in the woods, but there's some hills and
it's a huge
rocks
cemetery.
And yeah, it's very big. So people will mountain bike back in there and hike and walk their dogs. And I always bring Lucy back in there. But there was a kid who was going down this steep hill on his fucking unicycle it has a off-road tire. One big
There's
tire.
no handle brake on that.
Nope. So he's balancing as he's
How do you
going
stop?
down this hill. I don't know, jump off. So not only do you have to balance to stay on the unicycle, but then you're also having to balance it as you're tipping forward.
Unicyclers, reach out to us at weirdswithfeather@gmail.com. How do you control yourself on a unicycle?
He was ripping down that thing. It was crazy. I was so worried he was going to fall forward and bash his face, but he did it. He was cruising.
That's such a level of balance that I can't imagine.
My thing is how do you get to that point? I feel like there's got to be a lot of face bashing before you become very proficient, you know? It's I feel like the in-between for learning how to ride a unicycle is very precarious. You know?
It's when you learn how to ski, you always fall a little bit.
Yeah. But a unicycle, it's
it's
it's all or nothing. Yeah, if you fall, I guess you learn how to jump off of it, kind of like skateboarding.
There's so much balance work involved. That's beyond me.
Yeah, but it would strengthen your cerebellum. That kid's probably got a crazy cerebellum.
Great center of gravity.
All right, back to Kaylin's message.
Okay.
Sorry, Kaylin.
We really
distracted,
got
sidetracked there. Wow.
One-wheeling, not unicycling. They're different.
Yes, one-wheeling.
I learned a new thing.
Yeah, one-wheeling
Thank you, Kaylin.
is different. You're much lower to the ground, so I feel like one-wheeling would be better. And I think it's electric, right? It's motorized.
Oh, yeah. It must be.
Yeah.
Because then how would you move?
Exactly. So it's motorized. That's the key component that we're missing there.
I see.
Whereas a unicycle has pedals.
It's pedal power.
Yes, pedal power, as opposed to one-wheeling, which is motorized. Glad we went through that. All right. Yep. So Kaylin says it's a steady drip of adrenaline and kind of lazy meditation because you can't be thinking of anything else. Oh, that's
because you're trying to balance.
Because you're just very focused on that thing.
Oh.
And I'll have to talk about it in a future episode, but I was reading a study about how that is the key to happiness, whatever happiness means. It's the people who spend a lot of time in that very focused state. That is what leads to the feeling of happiness, is when your brain is totally clicked in and engaged with an activity. It's not just about doing something that's, super fun. It's about being totally 100% engaged in this thing, which for ADHDers, it's so hard for us to click into that thing. But once we do, it feels amazing.
It feels great.
So that makes sense.
It's always hard to commit.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this before, you kind of have to plan your day out because you're going to get lost in whatever hyperfocus you have. It's hard to, whereas people are oh, just do your activity for a little bit, half the day. I'm there is no half the day.
Yeah.
There is the whole activity and then there is exhaustion.
Yes. Or there's nothing, or I won't do it. And I'll just kind of potter around the house anxiously.
Yeah.
All right. Kaylin says, my daughter, 7 years old, also has ADHD as far as we can tell. She has picked up one-wheeling a bit with me this fall. After listening to this episode, I think it may be one more tool in the toolbox, or at least justification to get her own board. Yes, get her own board. You guys can one-wheel together.
But also get her some wrist pads and a helmet.
Yes.
And knee pads and arm pads.
Well, I don't know.
Shoulder pads for style. I don't know about anything.
Yeah, you're gonna want shoulder pads for style. The rest is for safety. Yeah, I don't know if you need to go that far, but yeah, I would say wrist guards and definitely a helmet. I'm sure you're responsible.
Little parent-child one-wheeling activity.
Yeah,
that'd be adorable.
I want a one-wheel. All right, and Kaylin ends it with saying, thanks for putting in all the work to get the show out. Oh, thanks, Kaylin. Yeah, thanks for listening, and thank you for your input. That is, I hadn't even thought about one-wheeling, but yeah, it's very similar to skateboarding.
Right,
where you're
balancing.
Having to do a lot of balance. Should I buy a one-wheel?
I kind of want a one-wheel.
It's not in the budget.
No, it's not in the budget.
But maybe next summer, we could one-wheel through the woods.
Ooh. You could one-wheel through the woods. You could one-wheel with Lucy.
Yeah.
Although that might end in disaster.
Yeah, no, I think she would like that. She does pretty well with skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ian takes her. I don't, because of my rollerblading accident with her where she pulled me onto the lawn. I was a bit traumatized by that.
Oh, yeah.
But Ian will take her when we go
longboarding together.
Yeah. So she might do well with the one wheel. Just have to train her a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
On to our next thought. Our listener and friend Noah Lindsay reached out to us to give us her thoughts on our Shoebill Puppets episode. Go Shoebill Puppets.
Yeah, Shoebill Puppets.
Yeah.
Go Puppets.
Yeah, fight. Right. Noah Lindsay says, I'm a third of the way through the Shoebill pod, and I have some thoughts.
That infamous Shoebill pod.
Ah, yes. Podcast all about the Shoebill. She says, Sabbath. As a religious Jew, I do keep the Sabbath, specifically Friday evening to Saturday night, and it's amazing. I literally cannot feel guilt about not being productive on Shabbat because anything I would feel guilty about not doing, I'm not allowed to do on Shabbat. For example, I can't run the washing machine on Shabbat, so if I don't finish all the laundry on Friday, well, I have to wait until Saturday night, and then there's no use in feeling guilty because there's literally nothing I can do about it. So I literally have a full 24 hours of eating good food, hanging out with friends, sleeping a shit ton, maybe going to synagogue if I feel like it, playing board games, and reading. That sounds so lovely.
This sounds great. Actually, no, Lindsay, after you sent this, I was kind of thinking about it because I would say, in the throes of a burnout scenario.
Yes.
And I'm trying really hard to not be. And so I've implemented like a mini, I'm trying to like divvy up my weekends into like, half working weekends. And this is obviously when I'm not on call, and half Sabbath weekends. I don't want to say Shabbat because I'm not
religious Jew.
I'm not religious at all.
Yeah. She said that a lot of different cultures and religions celebrate or experience a Sabbath, but like Shabbat is specifically Jewish, but there are different cultures that do a different version of Sabbath.
I'm trying to do a Sabbath-esque on my weekends.
You could do a non-denominational Sabbath.
Yeah. A non-dom sab.
Yeah, non-dom sab. And go like really old school, like no technology, that type of shit.
Oh, I could.
No electricity, candlelight only.
Candlelight only.
Really lean into it.
My goal is to like finally have like a little plant day, but it's like a lot of work. I have to like make sure I have all the soils and stuff that I want because I want to build a terrarium.
You need your soils.
And I need the correct soils, and I need to research it, and I need to do all these things. And I really want to have a plant day, but I'm going to work my way up to it. But it probably won't be until like January.
That doesn't sound restful though.
Yeah, I know.
You're like talking about all the work you have to do.
But like once I'm in my plant day, it's like it's such a great. I'm just me and my plants, and I get to like listen to a podcast.
Nothing else in the world,
right?
Because then you get that focus.
Right, I get into the focus, and then it doesn't even matter what I'm listening to because I'm not focusing on it. But
yeah,
I am trying to have more of a, this is going to be the rest half of my weekend, and this is going to be my like business end of the weekend where I'm doing like laundry and cleaning and stuff like that. Has it been successful so far? No.
Well,
but I'm inspired.
Yeah. I think the main problem is that, like we've talked about, even when you do take that rest time, you're still in the back of your head being like, but you should be doing this and this and this. And so I feel like having a set Sabbath, having Shabbat where you're not allowed to be doing this stuff. I feel like that's what you need. Something where like you're not allowed. Yes.
I need a rule.
Where like, Kristen, you will get in trouble if you try to do a load of laundry, Don't you dare. Put it down.
Think about
It's against the rules. I feel like you need to have strict rules where you're being told don't do anything only then will your brain allow you to rest.
I completely agree.
All right. Noah Lindsay ends her, I don't know why I always call her Noah Lindsay. Is it just Noah?
It's such a ring to it, though.
I know. No, it's one of those names that I feel like you say together. Let us know what you'd like to be called if it's not that, Noah Lindsay. But until then, we'll call you that. She says, it's really good for my ADHD and anxiety because it forces me for 24 hours to accept what I can't change, the laundry, an email I didn't send, etc., and the urgency to finish all Shabbat preparations, grocery shopping, cooking, laundry, before sunset motivates me to actually do it. That's true. It gives you a deadline instead of like stretching it out into the whole weekend, which we tend to do.
And then it's Sunday night and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah. Or we always leave stuff for Sunday or whatever.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So I think you need to implement some kind of
I
non-denom sab in your life.
Sad. Yeah, I really do. I really like this idea. I gotta adopt it and make it my own somehow.
Right?
Minus the religion, I think. And thank you for sharing, because I think, no matter what religion you are or non-religion you abide by, I think there are always lessons to be learned from others.
Yeah. And I think that's a great one.
That's one of them. Yeah.
That's a great cultural practice.
Yeah. And if you're a person who has some sort of non-dom sab, let us know.
Or denom.
Or denom sab.
Yeah.
I'd like to know about it.
You're calling it a dom, non-dom. It's non-denom.
Non-denom.
Non-denom sab.
Non-denom sab or a denom sab.
Yeah. Yeah, whether you have a non-denom or a denom sab, either way.
Non-denom or denom-nom.
Yeah.
Denom-nom-nom.
Denom-nom-nom-nom.
Sab.
Share with us, because, yeah, it's fun getting these little insights into, what your religion does for your sab. And I feel like it gives us more good ideas about how to take that brain rest for ourselves,
And also, and this is super off topic, but I feel like I grew up in the Catholic Church and it didn't work out well for me.
Yeah.
You grew up without religion.
Yeah, it worked out fine.
It worked out great for you.
Yeah.
I feel like not that I have like a lot of religious trauma, but I rarely do I hear stories where like religion works for someone without like it being like a cult Netflix series where they're like, oh, we love being in our religion, where it's like it's clearly a cult. So I really appreciate you sharing how your religion benefits you and works for you. I appreciate that because I feel like I don't hear that often.
Yeah. And I don't think all religion is bad blanket statement, I think it's often the white people religions that we turn into cults as a means of control.
It doesn't have to be white people, but it often is.
It often is, yeah.
Just statistically, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people have religious trauma, but it's nice to hear that, that's not always the case.
Yeah. It's nice to hear your nice traditions as well.
Yeah.
All right. She did tell us, I won't go through it right now. I had a whole thing written out, but not right now.
Okay.
But she said about coffee versus tea mugs, there actually is a science to that. She said, I'm not a major coffee or tea aficionado, not to that extent, but look it up because there actually are rules for which cups you use for which drinks, and then you'll literally have that to stand on. So then you could have real rules that you could point to of why you only use a certain mug for a certain thing.
So I love this, but I'm nervous that my rules won't line up with their rules.
Yes, they'll be different than the official rules.
Right. And then my rules are wrong, and then I can't enforce my rules because they're technically wrong.
Well,
I'm going to look it up anyway.
I think that shows your thinking, because if it's your rules about which cups you want to drink out of, I don't think there is a right or wrong. I think there's the way you want to do it, and that's the rule, and that's how it's done.
A lot of times I have like emotional attachments to my mugs and cups.
So for you, it's more an emotional, you just look at a mug and you're like, this feels like a coffee mug.
Feels in my heart.
Yes.
But I am also very curious now that there's like a rule book and a handbook and legislation on
official. All right. Well,
I need to know.
Let me tell you it real quick then, because I already wrote it down.
Okay.
All right. From an article titled "Teacup versus Coffee Cup: The Important Differences."
This is the articles I need to know about.
This is the important research being done. This article is by Jaron. No last name, just Jaron. So you know it's legit.
There's no last name. Okay.
No, just Jaron. Evan and Jaron, maybe. All right. So, according to just Jaron, teacups are designed to be elegant, held lightly, and cool the liquid quickly, but coffee cups are designed to be cupped in the hand and stay warm. Many people will pour tea into any cup that is convenient, but no, don't be a peasant. Because teacups were designed to maximize the flavor, temperature, and ease of preparing tea in a way that allows for polite drinking habits. Teacups may be different sizes depending on where they were manufactured. In China, cups are designed to hold no more than 30 milliliters of liquid. Teacups are a specific shape designed to cool down quickly from a rolling boil to a conveniently drinkable temperature. For this reason, they are shallow with a wide open mouth.
I see.
So that's why you want a more open mouth on your teacup. Not all teacups come with handles, but those that do are designed to be held delicately between your thumb and either 1 or 2 fingers. This does not allow for a great grip, which is why teacups are small in size, so they can't be too heavy or too unwieldy to hold properly. I feel like this is really important to know if you're making teacups.
Right.
You don't want a big unwieldy cup.
That being said, I don't think I own a single teacup.
Yeah, I don't own like a proper
I don't own a proper
tea set teacup.
Now I want a proper teacup. You know what we're going to have to do? We got to go to the antique store. Find some teacups.
We must.
With some cool saucers.
Ooh, fancy. So you could do like a fancy tea time.
Ooh.
Although I like a big mug of tea, which I know is wrong.
No. I want a big mug of coffee. I want a bigger mug, the biggest mug of hot cocoa.
Ooh, yeah.
And then I want a small, convenient coffee cup, like your status quo coffee mug.
For tea?
For tea.
Well, you're wrong. You want a delicate little teacup.
Well, it's like my most delicate coffee mugs are, to their rules, it would technically still be a coffee cup, but it's in my collection of mugs. It's my most delicate coffee mugs are for the tea.
All right, for the tea. Yeah, I guess we also use our smaller ones for tea. All right, so the single finger handles, that's a hard thing to say, single finger handles, which pull away from the slope of the teacup, keep your fingers away from the cup itself, which can be quite hot from the boiling water.
So
they're designed for safety and delicacy.
I'm glad you're going over this. This makes so much sense.
This is very important.
Everything's designed for a reason.
Yes, and coffee doesn't need to be boiling. In fact, it shouldn't be boiling
because
water.
You're going to mix it with probably creamer.
Well, also, that's not how you make coffee.
Right.
You don't want boiling water. And so
you're going to burn it.
So it's not going to be nearly as hot as the tea, and you don't want it to cool down as quickly as tea because it's not starting at such a high temperature.
This makes so much sense.
All right, so traditional teacups made in Asian countries are less likely to have handles at all. In fact, they are sometimes referred to as tea bowls.
Oh.
But most European designs will have handles. I wonder why that is. Bastardized by the Europeans. All right, so then coffee. Unlike tea, coffee is not usually prepared with boiling water, at least not directly, as that can burn the beans. It doesn't need to cool down as quickly. In fact, many people like their coffee to stay hot as long as possible. For this reason, the shape of a standard coffee cup is quite different from the shape of a teacup. A basic coffee cup will be tall and narrow, with less exposed surface area for the heat to escape. Coffee cup handles are very prominent in their design, especially in comparison to teacups. Because the cups don't typically get as hot, but they do hold considerably more liquid, depending on the type of coffee you're drinking, the handles need to offer more stability and durability. Coffee cup handles are usually large enough to accommodate 2 to 4 fingers. This is very technical. However, depending on the mug and the size of your hands, it's not unusual to be able to grip your handle with a complete fist.
Jaron went all out with this.
Jaron he's got the facts and figures.
He's got the facts.
Coffee is not considered as elegant of a beverage as tea, so you're not expected to hold it with quite as much etiquette. And that's it. That's what I had to share from that article.
I love this article. I learned so much.
Right?
You know, I learned so much. It all makes sense now.
It totally makes sense.
Oh, my God.
More surface area to cool it down faster.
Oh.
It all comes together.
That being said, I'm drinking tea from a coffee mug.
Yeah, that's definitely a coffee mug.
That's definitely. You're drinking tea from a coffee mug, too.
Yeah, but it's got a big, wide open top.
Big, wide mouth.
I do have a big, wide mouth.
Big, wide mouth on that coffee mug.
I do. All right, and on that note, I think that's the end of our Bagel Bite. I had a little, of course, I always have more to share, but I'm going to save that for next time.
Yeah.
Because we had a little follow-up from Jamie about the whole invisible audience thing, but I want to chat about that a little more because I think it's a fun topic.
The next Bagel Bite.
Yes. So I am going to save that for next time, and Jamie, don't worry, we'll get to it next time. But before we sign off, I do want to give a shout out to her daughter, Sparrow.
Yeah.
Because, Sparrow, your mom talks about you all the time, constantly. And it just so happened that when we recorded her episodes, somehow your name, I don't think, got mentioned, even though she literally was talking about you the whole time before we started recording. So I'm sorry you didn't get a shout out. I know Abby got one and you didn't. So shout out to both of you. But a special shout out to Sparrow, Jamie's daughter. Thank you for listening and thank you for supporting us.
We're going to try to turn down the inappropriate jokes.
Yes.
Sorry.
We'll try to rein it in. for your delicate child ears. But Sparrow made us some incredible Weirds of a Feather vases with her mom in the studio.
I love it.
They're so cute. We're going to post pictures of those. And so we just wanted to say a big thank you for those amazing gifts, and we love them. And they're displayed prominently in our homes.
Yeah.
So thank you to Sparrow for the vases. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Jamie, and thank you to Abby also. Don't want to leave you out of that.
No. Thank you to the whole fam.
Yeah. And Jamie, you did a great job with your episodes.
Yeah.
And everyone's loving them. So
I'm loving them.
Good job, girl. I know. They came out so well.
I thought they were great.
Whenever I listen back to our episodes, I'm like, this was pretty good.
This was great.
I feel like, yeah.
Every time I leave, I'm like,
Yeah, I was like, that was stupid. I said nothing. Everything I said was dumb.
And then you listen to it and you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
That wasn't as bad as I
Okay.
thought it was. I guess we said some fun stuff in there.
I guess we were informational.
I guess there's a reason to listen to this. All right, so thank you all for listening to this Bagel Bite.
Yeah, thanks for all the fans, all your input, all your DMs, all your Facebook posts, all your emails.
Yes,
really
we love getting your feedback.
We love your feedback and just your comments. If you have like a weird comment about a weird thing, and like no matter how obscure, I want to know about it.
Yeah, tell us, because that's
I love listening to it.
The point of the podcast. Yeah, for us to relate about these very weird, very specific things that we do or that happen to us or that we like or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
If you want more of this, you can follow us on all the podcast platforms. You can find us on Facebook at Weirds of a Feather. You can find us on Instagram.
You can email.
Yep. At weirdsofafeather@gmail.com.
Whoop, whoop.
Send us your thoughts on the cerebellum and the Sabbath and one-wheeling and teacups and coffee cups.
And Jamie's episode.
Yeah. Episodes. Yeah, give us all your feedback. And that's it, right? Yeah. Buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/weirdsofafeather. Throw some pocket change our way to keep this podcast going. And that's it for real. And we'll see you next time.
Trying to do a puffin.